come together, the best from all the league, to show them how to play and form a mighty
Welcome again to the GDFL Footy Show, coming to you from a, reasonably cold Saturday morning from beautiful downtown Geelong. We're into finals action, and last weekend we saw the very first of the finals out at the St Albans Reserve, with a qualifying final on Saturday where the Inverleigh Hawks gave the North Geelong Magpies a nice old touch-up. They certainly did, and very disappointing for the Magpies in that sense, but they will get another chance. Yep, Ryan Garrard and Allen kicked 6 goals for the Inverleigh Hawks, and Tommy Matheson, a credible 4 goals for the North Geelong Magpies. The Sunday game, it was elimination final day, cutthroat, and of course poor old Belmont Lions, they bombed out, and their season 2015 is all over. And of course they were absolutely belted by the Bannockburn Tigers at the end of the day, who came out and kicked 5 goals in the first 10 minutes of the last quarter, with Tom Mullane Grant, the goal-kicking machine, back in action again with 5 goals. So a great effort indeed. Then I should mention as well for the game on Saturday that James Hyben's ruck display was absolutely sensational. 25, 30-metre hit-outs. You're not going to be able to beat a bloke like that on his day. Hello, I'm Dick Philpott. And once again, I have assembled some of the biggest names and brains in country football to eradicate, adjudicate, communicate, and definitely not procrastinate. And of course, the first man who needs no introduction, he is the mayor without the hair. And of course, the only mayor in Geelong that pays for his own Christmas tree.
That's it, Dick.
I've got to keep mentioning that. G'day, Johnny.
Good, mate. Good. You talk about Hyben's game on Saturday.
Oh.
You certainly got a chance to beat him if you play a ruckman and not a centre-half back against him.
I couldn't see anybody at North Geelong tall enough to go.
There's a bloke playing in the seconds. There's a bloke that played early in the year, is about 6'8". Play him. At least he's got to jump over him. I don't know what that selection committee are doing out there. But we've got one of them on later, haven't we?
Yeah, we've got the assistant coach coming.
We're into him.
We'll hop right into him.
We're into him.
Okay.
My pick for the grand final, and look at what they've done to me.
That's all right. We're still there, mate. We've got another chance. Don't worry about that. Yeah. And of course, our Colts man, he is the Lithuanian lover, Alex Degani. Good morning, Alex.
Thanks for having me again, Dick. And on the seniors, feeling a bit ordinary this week because I got 0 tips last week.
0 what?
Well, tips.
Oh, tips, sorry. Okay.
Sorry, TIPS. But I think that goes to show how well the GDFL's come this end of the year. So, yeah, positives to come, hopefully in the next 3 weeks.
There's the Facebook page going, Lithuanian Lover, mate. Getting a few likes.
Well, I don't know. You're the one that started it. Well, I got a few phone calls from unnamed numbers. So
we'll have to reverse the role one of these days. So you blokes will introduce me. I'll give you blokes the biggest rap, and I just sit here and look cute.
All right, that's our task for next week.
I'd like to welcome the great man, Dick Philpott, to the Geelong and District Football League show. Welcome, Dick. How are you feeling this morning?
Yeah, thanks very much.
Geez, you're a good-looking man.
Thank you very much again. All right. Last weekend, of course, Bannockburn Tigers and Belmont Lions played off in the elimination final, and Grubby Cations caught up with the coach of the Bannockburn Tigers, Craig McGough.
Thanks very much, and we're here with, is it Ron Barassi or Goffey? Because that was a great coaching effort, mate. Oh, look, I tell you, I didn't think you could win. I don't think Jason thought you could win. Smitty tipped you, but he wasn't that confident. We just didn't think you had the pace to beat them. You probably haven't got their pace, but somehow, some way, you managed to get yourself into a first semi-final next week.
Yeah, look, obviously pretty happy to get away with a win, but, we put a fair bit of planning in over the last couple of weeks and banked on a few things, and lucky enough they come through for us today.
Mate, in the first half, Tommy Mullane Grant was a little bit of a sad sight. He was sort of just that hobble around. He hadn't had much of the footy, and that inspirational second half, a couple of kicker in the air out of the goals, and he chased a bloke, beat him to the footy, took it off him. He inspired him, Tommy.
Yeah, look, Tommy's had a tough week. He's probably not been in great form, and it's hard to hear that sort of thing, especially when you're an experienced player who's kicked 70 or 80 goals for the season to date. And he was challenged this week and produced in the second half.
Well, the idea is to produce in the finals. I know he comes second in the goal kicking, but he's produced in the finals. The other thing is, next week you play North. Now, North haven't got the pace of Belmont, so you've had to have a game plan today to try and curb Belmont's pace. Next week, you've got obviously a slower side, but a better side. You've got to form another plan.
Yeah, that's right. Look, we spent the whole year planning for the last 4 weeks of the year, and hopefully we'll come up with the right game plan next week to challenge North Geelong. Quality side, going to be tough to beat, but we're a 50-50 chance of winning if we do the right things.
Always a 50-50 chance in finals, especially on this big ground. The only thing I played into North Geelong's hands a little bit. They put the cue in the rack when they were getting beaten early. You couldn't afford to do that, and every single player on the ground today was buggered at the final siren. So they've got an extra day's rest, so it makes it a little bit tougher for you.
Oh, it does, especially at this level of footy. It's not as professional as some of the higher levels. So, but we've challenged the boys to look after themselves this week and prepare as well as they can. And look, we'll be desperate to win next week, and we'll have a red hot crack.
Well, mate, I saw you against Werribee Centrals a couple of weeks ago. I saw you last week. I thought you were dead and buried, but you obviously had other ideas. I did speak to you early. You were confident, and you've just shown why you were confident. Congratulations on a great win, and all the very, very best next week, mate.
Thanks, Grubby. I hope I'm talking.
And hopefully Grubby will be back next weekend with another interview with one of the coaches or some of the personalities of the games on this weekend. But start with you, Mitch. North Geelong and Inverleigh. First quarter was nice and close and tight. Inverleigh got off to a great start. North Geelong came back to their credit.
Yep.
And then after about half-time, the wheels fell off somewhere along the line.
Well, there's no doubt about that. They, as you said before, Hybens was dominant in the ruck. And I think North Geelong's Achilles heel. It come and bit them on the bum last year in the grand final. They run very forward of the footy. There's not a great deal of defence in North Geelong's game, and they are a very, very good side at it. But if you put enough pressure on them so that they can't use the ball, they get themselves into a bit of strife. And I think that's what happened Saturday. Inverleigh were very, very, very good. They ran hard. They were a bit quicker in the middle of the ground, and they used the ball much better.
Did you get a chance to have a look at the game, Alex?
I've seen a fair bit of the highlights, and I've been very impressed by Inverleigh. One of the reasons I didn't tip them prior to this Saturday qualifying final was because they had a lot of lower bottom four teams in the lead up to the finals, and I just didn't think a 300-point win prior would really get them, tightening the strings on their finals campaign. But to their credit, you saw what they did Saturday, and I can speak as a former under-10s ruckman. Hybens was just magnificent.
You're a ruckman?
Yeah, I was back in the day, my first year. Unfortunately, I decided to stop growing. I don't know how that happened. But,
Matured early.
early.
If you're going to be the Lithuanian lover, you've got to mature early, you know that.
Yeah, I know that. I know that. And of course on Sunday...
just before you go there, Mick Rowland has made a massive difference to Inverleigh. He's a big man and he's hard to move, and he's made a massive difference to him.
Absolutely. And then of course on Sunday, I think the Belmont Lions thought the task was nice and easy. Then in the early part of that last quarter, out came Bannockburn with 5 unanswered goals.
Yeah, there's no doubt about that. Their midfield got on top, and a little bit of experience came to bear there. They were a little bit down at three-quarter time, but kicking with the wind, you could sort of sense that Bannockburn were probably going to run over the top of East Belmont, and probably their injuries along the way have hurt them in the long term. They didn't have enough players that had played enough games. Big ground at St Albans gobbled them up in the end, and Bannockburn, were deserved winners.
Okay, all right. Well, that takes care of the action last Saturday and Sunday with some big games on this afternoon. We're going to pay some bills now, take a break, and when we come back, we'll talk to Alex about the Colts, and we'll have a very special guest take up.
We come together, the best from all the league, to show them how to play and form a mighty team. The pride of our region with all our favourite sons.